Hi HR Nation, it's Chris Rainey. Welcome to HR Leaders, the show where we interview today's most successful and innovative HR practitioners. Today we're lucky enough to be joined by Dawn Robinson. Dawn is the HR director, or global HR director, of Nomad Digital, with a key focus on the UK, EMEA, US and Australia. Dawn, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm very well, thanks, Chris.
Good. Dawn, fill in the gaps. Tell HR Nation a little bit about yourself and your journey to becoming the global HR director at Nomad Digital.
Yeah, I've had quite a variety of different roles, Chris, and lots of different industries and in lots of different disciplines as well, not just purely HR. So with the employment side, I've tapped in and out of local authorities very briefly. I've been in retail with Emmanet and Boots the Chemist. I've worked in the manufacturing industry with De La Rue, who print money, which was quite nice, and, as you do, and in Tech with the mining and minerals industry out in Finland, and a lot of my time recently in the technology sector and digital world. So with Spring.com during the millennium, working as well with Bull Information Systems and Goldman Sachs down in London. And with Sage, I was with Sage for quite a few years, and Nomad Digital obviously is very digital, dealing with Wi-Fi in particular, with trains all around the world and fast streaming of TV.
Fantastic. So what led you down the field and career of HR?
M&S actually, and
really?
Their adverts, because they weren't advertising then, but very much, they had a fantastic management training scheme, and it allowed me to really truly experience different fields, not just HR, which is why I nearly went into the commercial field as well, and have done a couple of commercial roles as well, not just pure HR as district managers. So I just thought that it was my kind of calling and really liked working obviously with people, which you'd expect me to say, but
Sure. I hope so.
But with M&S as well, I was with them for quite a few years, and every year it was a promotion and a different move into a different store and a bigger store as an HR manager. So that kept me fresh, if you like, and still learning.
Yeah. And give us a bit of an insight in terms of your day. What does your sort of typical morning ritual look like? How do you spend the first few hours of your working day?
Okay. Well, hopefully I've looked at my diary the night before, so I know the invites and meetings, and I'm well prepared. But if I haven't, I would obviously check that first. But I try to avoid lots of emails, so I try and keep away from that. Have a strong coffee, and I still have a 13-year-old son to keep me quite alive and alert with a routine in the morning. So I really welcome actually dropping him off to school before coming into work, and we have a catch-up, a one-on-one catch-up, even down to singing to tunes on the radio. And when I'm in work, I obviously start to try and do almost walking the floor and seeing what's happening around the business, and if we've got any key visitors due in on the day as well.
So during that period, what sort of occupies your mind on a day-to-day basis? What are the things that you're sort of thinking to yourself and I suppose focusing on?
Yeah, well, we're quite a fast-paced business, so change is constant, and and as I said earlier to you before, actually going from 250 people to 31,000, just to give it a scale of change, but really looking at talent and development and reward and benefits, and a lot of coaching with people, because we've got a lot of technical leaders that really need to enhance their skill set with regards to people management.
That's a really good point, because technical leaders is something that comes up quite a lot within our community, because it's a different requirement. How are you currently approaching that in terms of developing your more technical leaders?
Yeah, well, we do quite a lot of coaching. We also look at mentoring, and I have a monthly session with them where we would do a particular development theme. And actually every Friday I do a Friday reflection with them too, and it might be a short film clip. It might be a learning statement. It might be something from LinkedIn, and it just builds a bit of a buzz actually, and interest, and sharing good news stories with how other people are dealing with leaders helps them as well. And we've got normal management development training too.
Hmm. And during that period, what are some of the sort of successes that have come out of that by doing that?
Well, when we did Focus, which was a major change in the business, and we had a lot of downsizing happening, sadly to say,
Hmm.
I believe that I had our leaders really geared up to work on that project, and really to feel calm enough to truly engage with the people and take us through the journey. Although it was 50 compulsory redundancies around the whole globe, I only had one challenge. It's in
Really?
Germany, yeah, and we won that as well in court. So I believe, obviously, there's only one of me, that they were able
Sure.
to influence and work in the right way and be guided in the right way. So that was a very strong people evidence focus for us.
Mm. How's it been in terms of integrating the new? You mentioned the rapid growth that you had. How has it been integrating both of the cultures
Yes.
within the two separate businesses? How's that journey been?
It's a massive difference, because you've got the digital technical world and you've got the train sector.
Oh, we couldn't get further away.
Yeah, you couldn't be more different. But what
Yeah.
they're allowing us to do is operate as a separate entity. So
Oh, okay.
we were kind of aligned. We had a number of workshops at the beginning with some key themes and areas such as processes and policies and systems. And we determined right at the outset what we'd stop, start, or continue with how we would
Hmm.
operate. And I spent quite a bit of time in and out of Paris in the headquarters, trying to get to know the people there. And fortunately, they kind of allowed us to work on our own goals and strategy, and even enhance the opportunities for sales, because they had a void with regards to the digital world. So they literally plucked us out as a company and decided that we would be added to their portfolio.
Oh, nice. On that point, obviously you're a digital business, obviously quite progressive. What skills do you think are going to be more important in HR in the future?
Yes. Well, for me, certainly to be very commercially savvy and definitely working from a partnership angle with people, and dealing with ambiguity is going to be an even bigger challenge, I think, as we continue to progress, and problem analysis. So actually looking
Mm.
at situations and OD skills, as well as, of course, emotional intelligence. But I would say that, I think that's
Yeah.
really important, as well as coaching and change management, ideally too.
Mm. I think you made a good point a minute ago about the partnering side. One thing that I've found over the last 10 years of speaking with people like yourself and your peers is the most successful HR leaders are the ones who are building those relationships across the whole business, not just in HR, but for all elements of the business. When it comes to any type of change, having that support and engaging those different partners around the whole business makes a huge, difference to that. Because you can have the best strategy in the world and the best plan, but if you haven't got the engagement of the right people in the right areas of the business and the support, it can become an ongoing battle.
Do you know, that was a really good point, Chris? And out in Finland in particular, I truly engage with all the leaders around the world, and they help me to influence change with the board, because I'd say, well, 40% of the leaders across the business quite like this option or this initiative, and
Mm-hmm.
I did an open blog with them, constantly getting feedback from them that was live on a daily basis. So I think it's truly important that you understand the people you're working with.
Mm. So what have you found the most effective way then of engaging your senior leadership team?
Yeah, well, we use Yammer as one communication
Oh, okay.
channel.
Mm-hmm.
We obviously have virtual communication all the time, so video conferencing is really important. And as I said earlier, the Friday reflective sessions that I've done
Yeah,
have been
it's a great idea.
really helpful. And then obviously we also have learning materials for the leaders and managers. So that may be on SharePoint, where we put different development presentations that we've had with them. And we have live town halls as well. So in sync, we have key senior leaders across the world almost at the same time, giving some consistency in messaging with strategy, with
Mm-hmm.
initiatives and change, and an opportunity for two-way communication.
Yeah. Did you have any issues of getting them to adapt to that type of communication? Or did it come quite naturally to them? Because I know whenever it comes to senior leaders and communicating through technology, whether it's Yammer or through a virtual platform, there's normally a few people that are less willing to adopt that strategy. Did you have any pushback on that, or was everyone quite keen to get involved?
I think I'm lucky that I'm in a technology world, so trying
true.
to tell me where the code's wrong on different things I'm using. But in other companies, yes, it can be difficult, and I think I'm going to find a difference in a new role that I'll be going to soon.
Definitely. In your current role, what effect have you seen technology have on HR in the time that you've been with this business?
Yeah, I think from everything to how we recruit, so an ATR effective system, and your website and your internet speaking both outside and then automatically connecting into your business for you to be streamlined and efficient. With regards to SharePoint in general, as I mentioned before, and we use that for ongoing performance discussions. We don't have annual reviews.
Okay.
The companies that did abolish that. And
there's a lot of conversations going on in that area right now. It always comes up. Not everyone always agrees. So,
but I had a negotiation, let's say, with our leaders that if they engage with their people on a regular monthly basis, then I'll forego the annual performance review.
I'm with you on that. I definitely think that's the way to go, and it also holds them more accountable to doing it as well at the same time. And I think as an employee as well, I would personally want to be engaged in that manner anyway, rather than the yearly review where once a year we get to talk about how I'm doing in a business. It's hardly really reactive. It's not really the best way to go about it. Especially when you want to keep people engaged, and people's needs may change on a monthly basis, let alone a yearly basis. So really good to hear that you guys are doing that as well. I know you're leaving the business soon, but where do you see sort of the biggest opportunity for the business or area of improvement for the business at the moment for Nomad?
I think we need to continue to work quite hard on our OD design and framework, and particularly, for example, on how we continue to build the technical hubs. There's a lot of competition out there in the digital world at the moment. So, for example, we just had one of my team go out to Porto, where we established that you have low turnover. People very rarely leave the country, never mind an organisation, and you have some real top skills. So we're building a team of developers as a separate technical hub out in Porto. And I think we will continue to be challenged in here with how we run as a separate entity, with Alstom, with how their pace, and particularly around the reward and benefits framework. They've been very traditional. They haven't had a sliding scale sales commission plan, and they haven't had a huge amount of negotiation and flexibility around rewards and benefits, because understandably they're a very big company and they have a very high level of governance. So I think they'll continue to be challenges for the business, but I've fortunately been able to develop my own successor for my.
Great.
So he is an internal promotion coming up from London, and
fantastic.
Yeah, so he's ready as we speak now.
Good. Yeah, good. Well, it sounds like he's got a lot of work to do, so he needs to be prepared. I think with any business of that scale, as you said, any type of innovation or change is difficult. It's not gonna be an overnight.
Yes.
It's gonna be an ongoing journey, right? And challenging those orthodoxies that have been around for, can only imagine how many years, and building that trust and relationship with those senior stakeholders is going to take some time as well. So you're in the same position as many organisations that I'm speaking to, which is having to make those changes and also engage the right people along the journey to make it happen, and then sustain it, which is the hard part as well. That kind of leads us on very good to what we call the quick fire round. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and you have no more than 30 seconds to give us some amazing answers. Are you ready?
Yes.
What was the number one thing that was holding you back from becoming a HR leader?
initially not being in the right cultural environment and things being out of my control. And if that happened, then I would move on.
Okay, fantastic. What's the best piece of business advice that you've ever received?
That there's always an answer. You just need to know where to look and who to ask. And remember, you can't control how people feel.
That's definitely true. What's one book that you would sort of recommend to our audience, and why?
They may already know about this book because it's so popular, but The Leadership Challenge by Kouzes and Posner. It's the 5th edition. It sums great attributes on how leaders can lead and direct and change in a pragmatic way.
Fantastic. Well, I'll definitely link that in the description for the members.
Okay.
And share one internet resource that you use to increase productivity or stay in tune with current events.
Often I tap in and out of LinkedIn, actually.
Well, that's my number one go-to as well, so it's never steered me wrong. Fantastic. And last one, what is one thing about your business that most excites you today?
I love change and the pace and tackling difficult situations and working with a very strong CEO.
Fantastic. Well, if you don't like change, you shouldn't be in HR because it's it's part of it, isn't it, really? Let's be honest. Fantastic. Well, look, Dawn, you've given us some great actionable advice, and I know that our audience will be much better off. So thank you very much for that. Give our listeners one sort of parting piece of guidance, and then we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, okay then. I mean, never be afraid to ask lots of questions and really listen and challenge the status quo. And I guess have the courage to believe you can aspire to be and do anything and go to any heights. And you know what? You can.
You can. Fantastic. Well, look, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us. Guys, head over to hrdleaders.com and you'll find all of the show notes from the episode. I'll also put the book that you recommended and timestamps, links to any resources. Thank you again for sharing your journey with us, and I wish you all the best until we next speak.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris.